Going on YouTube. So what's going down? I do believe we are live already. Let me just go check. Live on YouTube. What's going down, Glen? Joined today by Glen. There we go. Live. Very nice. Oh, perfect. I'm going to take the link. I'm going to copy it into the TLM group. Just give me one sec, mate.
No worries.
Give us a sec to let people sign on. I'll bang this link in the group and then we'll get cracking.
The outdoors or indoors, James, in Cyprus there?
I'm outdoors, big balls.
Yeah. I know there's a difference in my grey jumper attire and your like bright light.
Outside, living the dream. Right, what's I going to do? Share this over in the group. A few people signing on already. Right, sorted. Post that in the TLM group, and just to make it easier for everybody to jump from there. So cool. Joined here today by my main man, Glen Smith, who I'm sure many people will be familiar with. Glen, do you want to say hello?
Yeah, man. So yeah, nice to be talking to you and anyone tuning in. So where do you want to go, James? Do you want me to just kind of introduce myself to anyone that doesn't know me, or do you want me to we're just keeping it between us until I'm left to my own devices? And
for sure, man. I just want to just give it a couple of seconds to let other people jump on. So like everybody who's signing on, logging on now, like everyone who's watching, drop us a comment below so we can see who's actually here, and let us know if you're excited to hear the sales wizardry magic madness from our very own homegrown sales coach, Glen Smith. And Glen's got obviously a lot of super exciting stuff to talk about. He's going to give us some insights into a selling system that he's kind of devised throughout his experience working with me, serving you guys, the marketeers, who are very used to seeing his face, I'm sure. Some of you may well have been lucky enough to actually have some direct contact with Glen. So if you have, awesome. Glen's going to be sharing some knowledge, some insights into his experience and how he's closed a hell of a lot of sales throughout his journey. So there's lots more people watching than there are commenting. So before we go any further, I want to see some comments in there. Let us know who's actually here. And how are you feeling? Are you feeling pumped to hear from the main man himself? We've got plenty of people dropping comments now, which is wicked. If you're just signing in, drop us a comment. Glen, throughout the presentation, I want to hear you asking people for engagement. Ask them to drop comments, ask them questions, and we want to build that engagement in the comments, if that's all right with you.
Yeah, cool, man. And
sound.
I'm aware that we're working on a certain amount of time, aren't we? We're about 45 minutes. We've got.
Yes. So after this, everybody who's watching this, the Q&A will start after we've done this training. So we're looking about 45 minutes for this training before we dive into the Q&A with the ladies through the link, which you will have been sent through your email as normal. Going to hand over to Glen. Glen, please do take the floor, smash it out, share some bombs with us. I presume you're going to share your screen, right?
I am going to share my screen. Because we're using this new software, it looks nice and it looks dead simple, actually. You know, I'm a bit of a tech granddad, James. In fact, everybody knows I'm a bit of a tech granddad. And I'll definitely check in and ask for some interaction. I'm not going to be speaking in monologue without some degree of feedback for 45 minutes. It's minging to do that. So I'm going to be checking in and expecting people to give me some feedback. I guess I'll start just by kind of introducing myself before I share my screen. So I'm like James says, homegrown product of the Lifestyle Marketeer program, as many of you will already know. And yeah, I mean, prior to joining the program, had a good deal of sales experience myself over that would have been 10 years prior to joining TLM, you know, in various roles and through juggling it through being in Southeast Asia, teaching in various countries, as many of you are going to relate to. And yeah, since joining the program, give you a little bit of background on my personal story with James as well, and what it did for me being an expat teacher in Vietnam. Kind of go over my testimonial, but yeah, it shook things up for me big time. My fiance had just got an online job, and I was still stuck teaching at the time. And I joined James in September 2018, wasn't it, mate? It was just into then. So I think he's gone quiet on me. So and then made the shift. And after a few months of running my own agency, grew it to 4K a month USD from joining the program. Moved to the beach, but 3 months after that, I was maybe a little bit too outspoken, giving some feedback to various people in the group and helping them with their salesmanship and where they might change a few things, and then began closing as a transformation coach for the Lifestyle Marketeer program. And I was able to help just hundreds more people just like me do the same and make the step. And I brought in, I think we estimated just a little over £1 million into the business myself as top seller for that 2-year period. And subsequently then became heavily involved in growing and training the sales team and the transformation team. Let's not detract from what it is, helping people make the step to change their situation. And as such, I've been really closely involved with a lot of the Lifestyle Marketeer enrolled students, and also going to be a good number of you in the Freedom Through Advertising group, who are now kind of in a group of mine, which I'll come and talk to you all about kind of later. But yeah, that's it for me. And you know, I guess I think I'll start with the sharing my screen now. We'll dive into what I want to share with you. So I've developed a system called the coin selling system, which it's a unique, simplified system that enables you to consolidate a lot of the really important stuff that you should be addressing in your sales calls, in your strategy sessions, discovery calls, online coffees, call them what you will, virtual coffees, so that you can capitalize on as many opportunities as you need to. And, you know, and very realistically look to double your conversion implementing this strategy if you're executing on it well. So I'm going to share my screen. Let me...
Yeah, I might need to. We might need to test this new software to how we do that and how. Have you got the icons at the bottom?
Yeah, I've got a big obvious button that says I can do it. I'm just working on 2 screens here, which again you will know it's blowing my mind right now.
Hit share screen first of all and see what happens.
Done it. Google Chrome would like to record this. Yeah, okay. Let's share this screen here. Cool. How's that doing?
Can't see.
Not yet?
Nope.
Let's just try again. Chrome has lost permission to capture your screen and follow these steps. Looks dead easy. Really nice app. Really nice interface, this.
It is a really nice interface. But how easy is it to use is the question. Does it actually do what we want it to do?
No, that not coming through, mate?
No. Does it say it is?
Follow these steps. Here we go. Just bear with us, everyone. James, you might want to just fill in some blanks while I get my screen share.
Yeah, well, I mean, the blanks have mostly been filled in. Glen's obviously been a part of, well, we've been a part of each other's life for about 2.5 Yeah, it must be about 2 years, right?
Two great years.
2 great years. Yeah, and obviously Glen's grown into his own venture, which is obviously what we're going to be talking about today, and the things that he's going to be bringing, the training that he's going to be bringing. That's the whole purpose. If your screen won't share, send me a link to it and I'll just share mine.
Okay, yeah, cool.
Try that out. Let me try sharing my screen first of all. Share screen uses 2 monitors.
Security and privacy. Here we go. Making headway.
We're making headway, yeah.
Making headway. And then screen recording. Here we go. There we go.
Oh, is it pop-up?
Right, yeah. And then Chrome. I need to grant permission to Chrome. Will not be able to record content. Okay. Yeah. Quit now.
All right, so you don't need me then. Well, we got people from all over. By the way, if you haven't yet, drop a comment and let us know where you're watching from. I'm going to go through them, kill some time. Oh, Glen's fully gone now. So where have we got? We've got people from Belgium, Chiang Mai, Hua Hin, Spain, Canary Islands, Grenada, Malaysia, Vietnam, Ho Chi Minh, Greece. Insane. Everywhere. Tokyo. Who else? Where else are you? While Grandad Glen sorts his tech out. Not sure where he's dropped off to. Sorry about this, guys. He's back.
I'm back, yeah. I had to change the price, which seemingly wanted the computer.
Who cares? Barcelona. I've just been listing off where everybody's watching from. So many places. On a boat in Phuket. Nice. Really? The most exotic location wins. On a boat in Phuket from Kevin is winning so far. Anyway, how's your screen sharing going?
You tell me. I think it's looking good.
Oh, here we go.
StreamYard.com is sharing your screen.
Here we go. We're in.
What can you see?
Your screen. So just go to your presentation and start. Done.
Yeah.
You're on. Crack on. All right, guys.
Cool.
People from all over the place. Sorry about the tech hiccup. Grandad Glen at it again.
I hold my hands up to that.
Cool. People watching from everywhere. So like literally all over the world. So crack on, man. Let's talk sales, doubling conversion rates, enrolling clients, onboarding more clients, making more money, living a happier life. Go for it, man. Dive in.
Nice. Okay. So we're just still finalizing getting this document open. It's loading. Something happened with the privacy share. So yeah, we've got about 30 minutes together. We can dive into
you have to talk fast.
You are?
You're gonna have to talk fast. No, I'm joking. If it runs over, it's all
I probably am. You should just know that for some reason.
Have you not got a Google document?
Yeah, I've got a Google Doc. It should just open. It was open a second ago and it's just closed and now reopening it. Perhaps
well, if you click on the bottom left, it's downloading it. Click on that.
That's what it was. See, this is what happens, right? People ask me, what advice would you give me? What do you think it is that makes you kind of able to sell better than others? And I don't mind saying that. That's typically the case for me. It's being people-centered, and as such, I tend to be a bit of a tech granddad. So
where are you moving it?
My emotions.
Put it back. Put it back.
Yeah. I'm just making sure we're good. So everybody with me.
There you go. Zoom in a little bit as well, because it'll probably be a bit small. So in the bottom right-hand corner, there is a plus and minus symbol. If you press the plus symbol, we are back, don't we? There we go. Guys, just drop in the comments before we get started. Is that big enough for everybody? Can you hear him? Are you over our tech problems? And are you ready to get started? Drop in the comments. Let us know. Glenn, let's go.
Have you been bored to death by me trying to figure out modern day technology, or are we still happy to carry on? Right then. Have we got interaction, James? Because I can't see.
Yes, Plenty of people everywhere. If there's any comments, anybody wants to ask any questions, etc., all the way through, please feel free to drop them in the comments. And if they're relevant, or if I think it's worthwhile asking Glenn at that time, I'll ask him. If not at the end, I'll ask him at the end as well. Running short on time, so try keep it to 45 minutes ish.
Yeah, cool. We've got half an hour. That's going to be grand. Okay, so we've done a lot.
Before, man, you see the little green thing in the top left corner? Just make that window full screen. There we go. Now you're good. You're good. Let's go. Let's do it.
Awesome. Okay, so freedom seekers through advertising, lifestyle marketeers. Awesome to have you here, and I'm sharing with you my newly developed coin selling system, which we'll come to the meaning of shortly. But ultimately, it's. I'm going to skip through a little bit of this because we're going to talk about my free Facebook group and how that kind of, you can get into that and get hold of a load of good stuff afterwards. But to get your own copy of this PDF, we'll talk about that shortly. This is the coin selling system, and it's been developed off the back of all of my experience in the program. It's I guess it's come about as a result of a lot of frustration, just seeing people make a few too many needless omissions, mistakes in their salesmanship that just cost them opportunities that otherwise, really wanted their services, needed their services, would have benefited from their services, but ultimately didn't feel that kind of last tip you over the edge, compulsion, feeling compelled to actually take action and buy from you. And ultimately it's that separates, you making your money as a digital advertiser, securing lots of high paying, long standing retainers and thriving in your business, quitting your main job, being nomadic, being location, financially independent, and having all of that good stuff as well. So this is I guess a bit more of an intro on me. And as far as my involvement with the lifestyle marketer, a lot of you have already seen that. I've been working with one-to-one mentorship with James as well, and helping people scale up. At the same time, as fulfilling and as amazing as that is, I know that there are people kind of in the beginning of their journeys as well, and since I've been there, that do with just a little bit of a biting edge or a cutting edge in their salesmanship that would help them thrive. And if this is of interest to you, doubling your conversion, that could apply to you at any situation. It's always a draw. But if you're taking you feel a few too many strategy calls before you're able to land a deal, I do know the feeling. And for me, sales was a struggle in the beginning. And, looking back at it myself, I could have made a boatload more money, a boatload more quickly if I had learned the things that I know now. My first sales job, we used to have weekly punishment of wearing L plates over your head across your chest for the whole office to see, which is a really nice feeling, for the worst performing salesman. And that was, typically me. I was useless. I was saying the wrong thing. I was talking too much. I was pushing people out of sales. I was, there are lots of little things that we can just be really cautious of, and cutting them out, which is simple and easy enough to do, and throwing in a few, of the good stuff can be the difference between making a sale and not. So after my horrific experience selling golf breaks, golf holidays, being the worst salesman in the team for too long to come, I've been in and out of different sales roles. I've been selling Forex, accident insurance, to, busy mums, 5 to 9 p.m. in the evening, trying to cook the dinner, trying to put their kids to bed, all of the kind of things that grab attention and keep people engaged and make them compelled to listen became things that were, relatively, well, let's just say deeply ingrained in me, if you want to hold someone's attention. And all of that, led to where I am now. And I've taken 10,000 plus calls easily, I know, in my lifetime in my sales career, and taken in multiple millions in revenue, more than $1 million of that in English just in the last couple of years in the Lifestyle Marketeer program alone. You know, and I've been selling to a range of people from you guys, who I consider myself to be one of, expats abroad, people who want to move online. Let's be honest, a highly skeptical audience. You know, we see ads online and we see marketers, and there's a lot of distrust there. So I'm not someone just who hasn't done it and hasn't been there like you have, just preaching from a book. I've been in the same situations you are, you know, having to overcome objections, having to overcome a lack of trust and kind of, you know, dubiousness and skepticism. So this is where it all comes from. And I don't say this to brag. I say this just so you get an idea as to, you know, why you might want to pick up a few things from me, you might want to listen, and what you might gain from implementing my coin selling method into your sales calls. So, you know, I don't want to kind of big it up to something that's absolutely mind-blowing. It's not. You know, systems and equations are often really simple. It's the time. It's just like, you know, the expat ATM method, the systems that James uses in order to help you guys and me originally do what we do from nothing. Simple formula just takes an awful long time and a lot of bloody hard work and time and money spent to figure it out, right? And that's what this is. It's a relatively simple thing. You'd probably describe it, you know, as just what you do on a good day when things are going well, you know, and when you're not closing, it's typically this that's missing. When people don't, you know, they say, oh, thanks, I really enjoyed speaking to you, whatever else, you know, objections they might come up with, partner, need to think about it, meditate on it, sit on it, whatever. They tend to come out of not being compelled to take action, which it means that this factor is missing. So we're about a quarter of the way through. Good timing, that's fine. The coin selling system simply stands for the cost of inaction. Okay, so we can sometimes oversimplify in our minds the system, thinking, okay, we want to know what they don't want, we want to know what they do want, and then I'll tell them I can get them what they do want and away from what they don't want. Yeah, that's true, and you know, that is a simple enough formula in itself. There are details inside of that, things you need to do in order to make someone realize very clearly to themselves what the cost of inaction is. Okay, so we've simplified it down to a few main steps, and there are two things that the cost of inaction applies to people, both you and your prospect. We have to establish that for your prospect, the cost of inaction on their part is greater than the cost of action. And for you, it has to appear there is no cost of inaction. You're going to be fine. Ultimately, it makes absolutely no difference whatsoever, or maybe even benefits you because you're so busy and you've got so much going on and you're on a trajectory, you know, that's positive and upward, that, you know, you're even relieved if they don't go ahead. Okay, now we'll talk about how we go about this and the things we can do and say to establish this. But when we talk about the cost of inaction being greater than the cost of action, we're talking about consequences, right? There have to be consequences of not doing it, and there are always going to be costs to taking action for them. They know this. So in order to apply this strategy and make the cost of inaction very clear for your client, establish that it's worse than the cost of action, we need to know what they actually are, right? We need to find out these two things from your prospect. I should say prospect, hopefully clients, of course, but prospect in the short term. Okay, so I'm still just kind of working through the early stages of this. Check in, let me know if you're following, let me know if it all makes sense so far. conscious of time, don't want to rush through to the extent that you're not following. But
here's something I'd like to do, man. Perfect timing. Who here actually consciously, who's watching, actually consciously knows and tries to apply in your sales calls, in your strategy sessions, the cost of inaction to your clients? How many of you are actually aware of that principle and apply it in your calls? Drop us some comments below. Let us know if it's something that's brand new to you, something that you're familiar with, that you don't know how to actually do effectively, or like what, whereabouts are you in terms of understanding, educating your prospects on the cost of inaction? I see some comments.
Cool. Fire those comments in. And what we can do is afterwards we can have a look at them and maybe respond to a few. For the sake of getting through this training, James, shall I crack on while people feedback on their...
For sure.
Yeah? Okay. Cool. So the costs of action for your prospect, if they go ahead with you, what are they? So ultimately, they're all the same, regardless of who your prospect is, what your offer is, who your audience is, what your war cry is, your overall service providing. They're always the same. They're financial. Okay. They know that they have to pay money, right? These are the costs of action, not the costs of inaction. They have to pay money. They're going to have to commit some time, even if it's a done for you offer, which we provide. We're doing this thing for them. We're doing their marketing and their advertising for them. If we have a done with you offer, which is a slightly different thing, which doesn't really apply to the masses here, then there's even more time for them to spend because they have to study and they have to kind of implement strategies themselves. But even if you're doing it for them, they have to spend some time what you need them to be doing. Might be a little bit of study, it might be completing research questionnaires so that you can target their service to the people that really want it. It might be compiling photos and testimonials. And these things ultimately they take them away from the other things that they may want or need to do. They're going to have to expend some energy. This one speaks for itself. Everything that we do, the two things above, they require energy, both mental and physical. And also there's a loss of control. Giving up control is a cost of action for so many people. I mean, in many cases, it's a complete relief, but doing a done for you offer, it's one to consider. They have to trust you, right? So they have to do that. They have to kind of take that leap. And if, certain character types, let's say drivers, those that like to kind of be at the helm, they can find it quite difficult for people to be, taking the reins. So these are the costs of action that they're facing. They see that, right? And so is it any secret that they're coming into this call a little bit guarded? No, of course it's not. They are going to be cagey. They are going to be coming in with a right, okay then, what's the catch? Come on, let's hear it, or whatever the mentality is. It comes off the back of knowing that there are costs to this. They've also then got the worry that the costs might not pay off. And that maybe you can't deliver on your promises, either or. Maybe they won't be able to do their part as well as needed, right? Potential cost. And that might make them feel silly, cause results not to go so well. And maybe they just think you're an out and out scammer and you're looking to take some money and run, right? So combine all of those costs that they know with the fact that they then have to compound it with distrust, and there's these potentials that they might not work out. That's what we're ultimately facing. But it's simple to overcome. We just have to ask the right questions and have the right conversation and just carry ourselves in a way that puts faith in people. Now, we're, as people, them too, prospects, really good at denying the hard truth that staying on the path that we're on, i.e. inaction, it also has costs, right? And in so many cases, they can be so much greater than all of these costs of action. Spending some time, spending some energy, spending some money, and putting a bit of faith in someone else to actually get the person where they want to be. And you may have experienced this yourself. You may be in a bit of denial yourself, not able to take a step, to do something that you feel is going to benefit you because you see these costs coming, because you can't quite take the step to overcome the trust. So what we need to make sure of during our limited time with people is that they understand that by accepting the short-term costs, we're not going to try and hide them, we're not going to try and fluff around them, but it's very clear that even despite the short-term costs, the situation they'll be in going forward is going to be much better. Hence, it's worth the payoff. So we can see the payoff. The decision to incur the cost is less painful, more desirable than the one, of inaction and staying on the path that we're on. It's only going to be possible if we do our job, okay? And this is where we fall into discovering the true costs of inaction. So the costs of inaction, what might they be? We're looking at continued stress, further damaging stress to them, the results not going the way they want in their business, continued poor mental health or further deteriorated mental health. You can see there's a long old list here, and they relate to so many areas of the life: financial, relationships, divorce and separation if things are going so bad financially and such stress-wise in the home that it puts strain on people. I've spoken to endless people whose relationships have come to a head and unfortunately, demised and dissipated as a result of businesses putting too much stress on them. And all of these costs of inaction are the ones that they actually face. So look at the list and how it, the potentials and the damage of them really outweighs potentially these costs of actually taking a step and acting, right? We're not going to go into all those because they're a bit too time consuming, but they range greatly. They might even all apply. What we need to do is determine what they are for each individual prospect. We can't assume that they've all got the same. And which of them really matters to that person most, which is the one that they most strongly want to avoid, what is the thing that they're striving for most. We're all incredibly individual, weirdly unique people, and we need to just find out what drives the person in front of us behavior and work with it. So to do that, we've got three big questions to ask. They make up the foundation of the coin selling system. There's the what now, there's the what then, and there's the what if. So the what now, what this relates to, as you'll probably be able to kind of tie in with your experience in especially if you've enrolled in the program, you're a lifestyle marketer already, and you've been through the Black Magic script. This is the part of our job where we find out what's going on now, okay? And you're gonna have heard it called the discovery section, digging for the pain, the things that aren't working. And that's what we're looking for. Why are they looking to seek help? What is it they want to change? Okay, and remember, these people come in with their guard up, so they're not necessarily volunteering in this information. And ultimately, it's our job to probe and ask questions in and around their current situation to find out what they are and to revert back to it again, which of them is most important of all, okay? So digging for pain is something you'll have heard undoubtedly plenty of times. It's not really something that I like. It's got negative associations. You only have to say it and you kind of feel guilty of something already, and it's only the word digging, I think, because it's too aggressive and it uses a sharp, pointy object, doesn't it? Which doesn't have nice associations either. And I think that, quite frankly, has led to so many of maybe you guys and so many of my former trainees, fellow employees, students and clients to feel reluctant to actually ask the questions that they feel they really need to, because they're not a salesy person, because they don't want to hurt the person. They don't want to pry into something that isn't their business, right? But the thing is, these pains are already actually there. They're already hurting. It's just about us finding out really what's causing it, right? And what the real impact of it is. So instead of, if you feel that digging for pain is something that you struggle with, just rewire it in your mind. Okay, what we're looking at is understanding the current situation fully. That's all we need to do. We're not going to suffer fools. We're not going to try and assume and fill in the blanks. We're just going to ask questions, probe and kind of make sure that we're, getting the full picture. And if there are any parts that we're doubtful of that don't really line up, we'll just say, sorry, can you just clear that up for me? What do you mean by that? This is what we need to be doing. And then we're going to get the full picture, because you're not judging, you're not asking pointed questions. It's just like, sorry, can you help me understand? You know, how does that affect so-and-so? You know, these people actually start to feel hurt, and that's how they're going to be able to open up. So we need to understand the makeup specifically for you guys. We need to understand the makeup of your prospects customer base, right? Now, to go back a step, at least a third of your call, in my opinion, should be made up of this section, okay? Because this is where we really kind of find out everything that's truly going on that's causing the pain. We need to find out if they're happy with the current makeup of the customer base. Do they have a customer base? Is it full of pain in the asses that cost them a boatload of time and stress, but hardly pay them anything? And in fact, despite the fact they say, no, it's all right, my client base is full, who's it made up of, right? So we want to know what they would change. And most importantly, what are the true negative downsides to their situation? So let alone having a pain in the ass client, what does that mean? Well, they're difficult to work with. What do you mean by that? Well, I end up having to spend so much time with them that I don't get to do X, Y, and Z. Right, so why is not doing X, Y, and Z a problem? Well, because, you know, and the journey goes on. And ultimately, that's what enables us to get deep and fully understand what the current situation is now. That gives us our anchor point, because the cost of inaction, calculating it, needs a pattern. So in order to form a pattern, we need to go back a step. So when we talk about what then, which is the next question of 3 that we need to answer fully in the coin selling system, this is a section of your call that's happened before. When we say what then, that often means what, you know, what after, what happened next. But in this case, it doesn't. It's like, what happened then? So we're talking about in the past. So you could rephrase it to what before. I just don't like the way it rolls off the tongue. Do what you will with it. This is how I have chosen to do it. So it's really vital. And the reason it's vital is because it tells us how the person came to where they are now. And missing it out has led to so many of, again, former students and clients missing out on sale after sale, coming away from a call deflated, losing a bit of motivation, you know, temporarily, because they're not forming a pattern. They're not able to establish, and just checking the time here, the cost of inaction. Okay, so the reason that we need to do it, I've talked about this already. We need to form a pattern. And if to give you a bit of a tough one to solve, you solve this pattern here. I'll give you the first part of the pattern, everybody. You can drop your comments in below if you like, if you want to have a go at this. I want you to guess the rest of this pattern here. Stick your answers in.
Yeah. Let's have a look at answers.
Well, it's going to be, I'll jump to it now, James. It's going to be futile, because we can't possibly know, and that's why it'll be hilarious to see the answers, because how the hell can you form a pattern and guess the next step and where something or someone is going to end up if you've only got one thing to work with? We need a pattern to form. So what we need to do is understand how the person got into the spot they're in now, the one that needs fixing, so that then we can make them aware of the pattern. 6 months maybe it's been going on. What have you been doing? Okay, right. Then we get to the point of the conversation where, okay, well, you're faced with a question of changing this or not. If you don't, can we make an accurate assumption on where you might be in 6 months? Of course we can. Because we know where they were 6 months ago, we know what they've been doing, and we know that if nothing changes, where that ends up being, right? So that's why it's really important for us to take a good look back at how the people ended up where they are, what they've been doing, okay? So yeah, it ties us in with our next part, which is the what if, ultimately, because that's the next part of the pattern, but we're going to come to that shortly. The second reason, we need to position ourselves favorably. So when we know what's been happening previously, maybe who they've worked with, maybe what they've been trying, maybe what they've loved, what they've hated, whatever it is, all of those things give us a nice bit of intel in order for us to position ourselves favorably, okay? And what that enables us to do is offer something that our prospect doesn't want a repeat of, and offer something that we know has been missing, let's say, so far, or something that they do want a repeat of because it worked out really well. we get people getting reluctant to say, oh, I didn't want to ask them if their other marketer was doing a really good job, because what if they are? Great. Well, we know what to offer them then, don't we? What do they do? How's that working out? And then the way you come across, you can make sure you're ticking off the things that are really important. Maybe it's communication. Maybe it's transparency. Maybe it's speed of turnaround on results, whatever it is. So I'm going to use another example here in the dating scenario. We've got Rakim and David. They're on a date. Rakim believes in astrology, and he had an awful volatile relationship with his boyfriend, who was a Virgo. David is a Virgo as well, sat opposite him, and he really likes Rakim, wants to give himself a shot at another date, at least, right? If not more. So does David have a better chance of winning Rakim over knowing that his ex was a Virgo and about this volatile relationship that actually kind of went pretty tits up, or not knowing? Now, you may guess something different, but to me, the answer is obvious. That information would be great to know. And again, this relates back to our situation with our clients. The reason is so David that can give him the best shot at winning Rakim over by doing any one of the following. Avoiding mentioning star signs completely might be a good call. Using all of his other charm and ingenuity to ensure that Rakim actually likes him before bringing the conversation around to star signs, which might be inevitable if David's so into it. Or finding out what made his former partner a bad one, so that if or when the conversation does come to star signs, David can explain how he's different to other Virgos. And while some Virgos are arseholes, he's not one of them. Now, if you can't tie that in with what it's a representation of, and former marketers, maybe people getting burned, then, I don't know what to say, but that's what it's a really good comparable situation. And I know it might sound silly, but this is the situation that you find yourself in with a prospective client. They're targeted by marketers, a lot of them, and some of them are dodgy. We want to know if people have been burnt. We want to know if they got results last time, but they used a marketer and hated the lack of communication, etc., etc., etc. And they're important. Why? Just like I've already said. So we can tell the prospects the things about us and our service that put us in a favorable light, rather than pushing one element of our service that we think they want, that we don't actually know because we haven't gone and done our recce and all of our intel, and give ourselves the best chance of making a sale. All right. So if you avoid that, stop it now. You need to do it. Man up, warm it up, get brave, and get in there. So what we got here, if you're asking your prospects about what they've tried to fix this and why it didn't work, if you avoid asking your prospects about why they've done that, stop it now. We need to know that as well, all right? So the last part of the equation, we're moving through pretty speedily, we've got a few minutes left, is the what if. And the what if is the last part of the puzzle, but actually this is the easiest to solve now because we've already started to form the basis of the pattern. So it's absolutely vital in making it clear two major things for the prospect. We go back to the beginning, what we talked about. The consequence of inaction, because a pattern can be formed now. The payoff for fixing the problem, all right? Now, with those two things, we can help the prospect truly feel the consequences and truly feel the benefits and the payoffs of fixing this situation and feel compelled to actually step forward. Now, if the consequence of inaction isn't painful enough, the payoff of action desirable enough in relation to the cost that is inevitable, they have to spend something, time, energy, money with us. Trust, lose control. If the consequences aren't worse than and the benefits better than that cost, we don't get any action. That's not a dirty metaphor either. So the result, the prospect's train continues to plow along as it was, heading for the break in the tracks, and all the pain that comes with finding that. They lose, we lose, right? So we're at 45 minutes, James. Do you want to just check in? Because there's a last part of this, but I'm ultimately happy as well, time-wise, to keep it there. There's a lot to kind of work on.
I think good. Like finish it off, man. We're good for time. We're 45 minutes in. Like as long as we're kind of wrapping up in.
Oh yeah, we are wrapping up. Okay.
going. Yeah.
And remember, everyone, at the end, we can give you what you need to be able to get your hands on a copy of this and digest it a bit more slowly than me throwing it at you. But hopefully I've been able to fill in some blanks here as well. So when you're reading it through, things are going to kind of make sense. So we're almost at the end on how to have conversations that compel your prospects to buy from you using the coin selling system. But there's another vital part to it, and it's one that really, really can't be overlooked. I don't know if you remember what it was. I've already given it away because it's right here, but it's this part here. The second part relates to you. So as far as your portrayal and the perception from the prospect, there's no cost of action. You know, it makes no difference whatsoever to you, or maybe even benefits you if they don't go ahead. And these things are done subtly. These things are done just by avoiding certain behaviors, which are quite easy to avoid. It just means we just have to chill the F out a little bit. Now, this is one of the most vital parts of my ability to outsell my peers in role after role, offer after offer, okay? But it's also been absolutely vital in other people's ability to sell to me, right? And it's only recently struck me, the reason being I've encountered it lately, and this is why I feel compelled to teach people, right? And teach the people that I care most about, which is you lot, believe me. Now, over the last 6 months, I've been looking into making some changes and additions to a property portfolio of mine. I've needed a mortgage broker, I've needed a solicitor, I've needed a property sourcer, right? Now, I was talking to people who were 50 to 100% more expensive than their competition. And not deliberately, just finding out kind of after speaking with them, then hearing from friends. But even hearing from friends that there were cheaper people, I still felt compelled to work with these. And this is why. Because in all of the conversations, I was shocked at how how much they lent out. You know, they all lent out a lot, and they all implanted in me a niggling doubt that in using their competition, this is one thing, there's another cost of inaction here. In using their competition, the result might not be one that you want. And it could cost me, I'm talking about me here because they've told me this, it could cost me more by saving a few quid and going cheaper, right? Now, they were giving me curiosity about why they were busy, you know, why, because they're like, well, one lady said to me, and I think I'm going to get to this in a second, I might say, they gave me curiosity about why they were so busy. They just said, you know, ran off my feet at the moment, frankly. You know, and you might think that's a bad thing to say because people might think, well, why, how can I get in? Are they going to be too busy for me? People don't think like that. It's FOMO. It's like, well, if they're so busy, why is that? And who are these people that benefit from their service? Right. So the portrayal of being, you know, of having plenty on, being cool with it and not taking their business, and the unmistakable impression that they will be fine. And this is what they left me with. I just thought, why are they so cool about it? You know, even though I didn't actually buy on the phone because this process doesn't really enable me to. The lead system is slightly different. But when I go ahead, I'm 100% going ahead with these three people. The solicitor, she said to me, I was speaking to her for not long, and I just said, listen, I just want you to be like, just to know that I'm looking at a solicitor who's half the price, and I need to speak to them again. And she started speaking before I even ended my sentence, she interrupted me, and she went on. She said, well, let me just tell you something as well. She said, just, you know, for clarity, I don't need your business. You know, I'm run off my feet currently at the moment, you know, and I know I'm a little bit more. And I know that you want speedy service as well. If that's something that's important to you, you know, I can do it. But if you want to go away and work with somebody, you know, else that's a bit cheaper, and maybe if that doesn't work out, you know, and 2 to 3 months down the line when things haven't turned around and you need it done in 2 weeks, which is really important in the deal that I'm looking at right now, that she'd be happy to help me. And from a human nature point of view, what am I going to do? Think, well, sod you then? Or am I going to be niggled with, bloody hell, well, I hate to be, you know, proven wrong, and I couldn't bear to actually go and then work with someone cheaper, it go wrong, and then, you know, go back to her and have to pay her again to remedy those results, lose time on a property deal, all the negatives that come with it. So I think this bit might have come across a little bit cloudy, and I'm aware that I've kind of thrown it in a bit mixed. But ultimately, the perception of you being unaffected and being fine, either way, comes from kind of leaning out, giving the impression of being, fine and busy and happy working with, what you're doing already. And it also comes from kind of the implication that if they don't work with you, they may just not be fine, but you are going to be, right? Because, yeah, it might be cheaper alternative. It might be just carrying on as they are. But when there's that little plant in your mind that starts growing and you start thinking, okay, well, I just can't bring myself to do that, who do you think you're going to end up going back to and paying a little bit more to, which just like me, I'm going to do? It's the person that was cool as little fishes, didn't need your business. I don't promote the idea of you going, well, I don't need your business either straight away. Don't take that as a framework that I'm giving you. This is just an over-exaggerated example of the way it works. But I want you to think about, your current and former kind of most recent conversations with prospects. Think about the impressions of neediness that you might be giving off. Are you leaning in? Are you sounding excited? Are you, trying to get all buzzy about, how working with them might be? We might think that that's what people want to hear, but ultimately it can be a bit of a repellent. And an onlooker, if they were asked, who do you think wants this more or needs this more in this situation? It's going to be the person leaning in. It's going to be the person getting overly excited. It's going to be the person throwing out discounts. It's going to be the person that is kind of pushy, right? So if they were asked, watching the conversation as a fly on the wall, who needed who more in your conversation with your recent clients, have a think about it. Think, what would they think? Would they have looked at me and gone, geez, yeah, he looks like he needs a client or two? Or would they have thought, that person looks absolutely fine, comfortable in what they do, just kind of cool with it, and that person sounds like they need help? That's all. That's the end of the coin selling system as a general framework. The how we go about it, the ins and outs of each section and how we nail them down. Yeah, there's a little more to that, and those are the things that I ultimately help people with. James, you want to jump in, mate?
Cool, man. Massive. Obviously massive thanks for jumping on and sharing that with us. I think there's a couple of things we need to do. The first thing is we need to, if you want to join, Glen started a Facebook group of his own where he's dropping some bombs, dropping free stuff and content, and really to help you guys close more sales. If you want to join that, shall I drop a link? I'll drop a link in the description of this video on YouTube, and also in the post in the group that I've just recently put in there as well. So you can join that and you can get some more help coaching training off Glen. Just to kind of make things clear, because somebody asked before, like, Glen isn't working for me anymore. Glen's not a coach in TLM. This is his own venture. This is his own thing. Glen's been a massive part ultimately of my business and my journey as well. And I can really vouch for him. He really knows his stuff, as you can see. And he can really help people if you follow him and go through his training, etc. So the other thing that I'd like you to do is, if you want this document, if you'd like a copy of this document as well, drop a comment on YouTube saying DOC, right? That's a little bit close to a swear word, which could have, which I just realized when I said that. Drop the word document below if you want it, and Glen will reach out to you through there if you haven't already joined his group and got it that way, right? So those are the two ways that you can do it, but jump into his group. That's where you'll find it. If not, feel free to drop a comment here just to make sure that he doesn't miss anybody out as well. All right. Other than that, man, that was a wicked training, and I'm super excited. I'm super pumped to see you moving forward and smashing it out and helping people with their sales skills as well and developing those. So a massive thank you from me and from everybody in the community, all the value and everything you've already done for everybody who currently works with me in the TLM. I just wanted to say, you know, personally, we're really good mates now, and I'm looking forward to you coming out here to Cyprus as well pretty shortly. There'll be some double trouble content and stuff coming, I'm sure, pretty regularly when that happens. But other than that, man, just wanted to say, you know, thank you very much for your time, and thank you for everything you've done for me and everybody here as well. Yeah.
I mean, needless to say, man, I just feel completely at home here anyway. This is like family for me anyway. I'm too big a part of my life for the last 2 years to feel like a visitor doing this with you. So absolute pleasure to help you and your clients and students, former students of my own. And
Tell you what I'd really like just on that topic is, like, please can you take a minute now, everybody who's watching this after you've written document, just leave us a comment and let us just give us some feedback, and you know, on Glen and the presentation and all of that stuff. More so in a way that, like, how he's helped you in your life is what I'm talking about, right? Not like review his presentation. I mean, how has he helped you? I'd love to see some comments about like how you've been impacted in the comments by Glen already, because it's, you know, great to see, and I think we'd both benefit from seeing that as well. I know some of you who are maybe like pretty new to working with me and joining TLM and all of that stuff, you might not be as familiar with Glen, but anybody who's kind of been working with me for a little bit of time, you will have had probably more experience of working with Glen and speaking to him and all of those things. So please do feel free to drop us a comment below. I'll get back to all of them. I'll respond to all of them. I've had a great time in this session. I'm going to bring you there's another training next week that we're doing on creating passive income. I'll be announcing that. And the week after that, I just dropped in the comments that I'll do a training on offer creation, getting your offer and your pitch nailed down. I'm going to do a live training on that because I think that would really help you as well. And that will support anything else that you're applying to your sales calls as well. Getting things clear, getting everything nailed down so that when you're presenting your offer, people actually are compelled to buy it and work with you at the end. Sound good, Glen? Think that'd help?
Sounds awesome. Yeah, that's it. I can get that link to you. And if you want to join the group, a couple of things you might just need to do: watch the intro video, drop a comment, and I'll gladly get your own PDF to you. And you know, don't forget, it all started with the lifestyle marketeer. So if you're on the fence, you know, and you're freedom through advertising, prospective client thinking about taking the leap, this is kind of how journeys develop. So, you know, big thanks to the community, and love being a part of it, and happy to help you, you know, smash your sales and double your conversion.
Awesome. Good stuff. Guys, if you haven't already, subscribe to this channel, hit like, leave us a comment below. There'll be loads more stuff coming every single Thursday. I'm going to be doing something like this every Thursday moving forward for you guys. So hope you enjoyed it. Drop us that comment. Thank you very much, Glen. Q&A is about to start on the link that you got sent in email. I'll pass you over to Laura and Charlotte, who will deliver a wicked Q&A for those of you inside TLM working with me already. All right, cool. Peace out. Have a wicked day. Thank you very much, Glen. Smash it out, son. In a bit.